You're recording.
Julie, we can't hear you.
So I'm just gonna use my mom voice or my district governor-elect voice. It's so good to be back here up at the podium before you today. I guess taking you through today's meeting and welcoming Paul to be our speaker today. And let's get started. Does anyone need anything before we get going? Everyone seems to be wherever they need to be. So good afternoon. Welcome to the Rotary Club of Akron. We are part of a team of 1.4 million passionate individuals in 46,000 plus clubs worldwide. We are both an international organization and a local community leader. Together, we lead change in our own backyards and across the world. As you know, I'm Julie Bramble, District Governor-elect, and I'm representing today Linda Farkas, who's traveling on a cross-country train to see America this week. So how exciting for her. And so thank you all for joining us today. Thank you online for joining us today. And if you would all please stand, we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, the four-way test, and the invocation. Here we are. And here's, there was a flag up there. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, four-way test, because I don't see that here. There we go. Is this a true? Is it all concerned? Will it be good? Will we have officials all concerned? Thank you so much. And Stephen, please, you're doing that vocation.
Oh, yeah. Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you to Dan and Mela and Amanda and the camp for having us out here today. I told Jack I was going to quiz him on a little Rotary history. Jack, any idea when the Rotary motto of service above self was established?
1913.
1989, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it was 1932, at least Google says this. It's 1932 when our four-way test was approved. But you know, there's real tremendous wisdom in the Rotary motto of service above self. And really the four-way test too is loaded with incredible wisdom. But service above self really provides an antidote for each one of us and for humanity in general. And that we were all created to be part of the bigger picture and to serve. And Jesus made a lot of profound statements, and he made one pertaining to service. He said, if you want to be great in his kingdom, learn to be a servant of all. And I remember almost 8 years ago when I first arrived at Rotary, I was really taken by you and the caliber of who Rotary is, because to the person, it's a joy to rub shoulders with men and women who love to serve. And I've always said, and I'll hold to this for the rest of my days, it is impossible to serve and not come away with having received more than those of you. So if you would join me in prayer. So God, thank you for the opportunity that you provide us to serve. And thank you for a wonderful city. Thank you for all of the good things that are happening in Akron. Thank you for this incredible camp, Lord, which is it's a testimony to love and to service. And I pray that you would continue to bless it. Pray that you would bless our time together. Lord, be with Paul as he shares with us and continue to lead us according to your ways. And we pray this in your mighty name. Amen.
Thank you.
Make sure you get.
Maybe open it. Okay, so I'm gonna go a little out of order because of the question that I was asked to, so I'll ask the Rotary ambassadors first. If anyone has been to another club or has been doing work at the district, or we have some guests here today, we're gonna go a little out of order, so don't think I'm crazy. I could be, but you know what. So, no Rotary ambassadors? Yes.
I had asked you this week at the service Rotary. I forgot to invite you, but I will bring it next week. But it's just nice to spend the day with other fellow Rotarians on concert.
That's a really great club. Kim Pilatus is one of my best friends. She's their president general.
Vivian and I had the privilege to be with the Rotary Peace Scholar that was nominated by the Rotary Club of Akron in 2007. He has done work in Africa on peace and conflict resolution with children. And his name is Wisdom Otto. And Bev Straczynski posted him, brought him down, and we had lunch with a group of Rotarians. And he shared the work that is being done in Africa on conflict resolution with kids. And during the discussion, we thought about the possibility of taking that plan and bringing it to Akron to help resolve some of our conflict here. So we'll be hearing more about that, and I'm going to share a little summary for the newsletter.
Great, thank you. Any other ambassadors? All right. Any other announcements whatsoever before we get to our greeter and our happy hours?
Do you want to mention Jack?
Oh, I think we're gonna do that.
Okay.
Okay, Sandy Maragon is our greeter today, and then she will also do happy dollars. And then there's a new note from Linda today that whoever wins the money for happy dollars today is going to collect for happy dollars next week. So if you are going to be here, you don't win. No, I'm kidding. If you're not going to be here, then get someone else to do it for you so that we don't have Bertrand to find someone. So take it away.
So we do have two guests today. I would like to welcome Fred. Fred, welcome.
So, Fred Carter, I am currently president of the Force on the Rotary. I met a couple of you last week and heard you were all going to be here this week. So I'm really excited to come get a tour and visit them. So thank you.
This here again.
Ken Haydown, my second time here at the Rotary Akron meeting, appreciate it, and I just want to come out and say camp.
Welcome. We don't forget tonight.
Yes, Harriet Chapman is here.
Harry Chapman.
Yeah.
Welcome. Welcome.
County historical, a lot of experience.
And I think we know everyone else, but Dr. Shannon Simpson's not here. No, okay. And there's someone else. Michael, okay,
He's a new member.
He stayed out of on phone call.
okay. Did you want to do some introduction? She's taking my, what? If she hasn't been very good, okay, never mind.
Should I go with happy dollars?
Yep.
So I'm gonna collect for happy dollars, but I'm gonna kick it off with like $5 happy dollars. We did not plan this, that we are color coordinated.
Matchy, matchy. Goldenrod is the color for fall, if you're not familiar.
What's happening is. Oh, we're color coordinated? We're color coordinated, but I'm gonna kick off happy dollars by returning to you. So anyone who's been around the last several years knows that which president started this?
Well, we started.
Katie and
this was originally awarded to Katie for all of the work that she was doing, keeping the club going during social and non-social during COVID anyway, and then it started traveling around. And it was issued to different folks at certain times when they did a lot for the club. Anyway, it ended up in my lap and in my office. And when I retired in March, I called Cheryl and said, where should this land? We decided it should come full circle and so thank you. It's yours forever. I know. Now on to regular happy dollars. So anyone else happy? Yes?
I had two happy dollars, one for Harriet, who went to high school with the wife of Rotary, and Rotary is one of the smartest people you've ever met in their life. And another happy dollar for Coleman Health Services. I've invited you all to our open house on September 14th. Our new office in Akron, right across from Akron #1 by the radio center. Stop by between 1 and 4. See what Coleman's all up to in summer camp. So, thank you.
Yes, Dan.
I have two happy dollars for my two grandchildren, 6, almost 7, and 9. I actually showed them a little bit of the camp because we went for a boat ride with a friend of mine who's got something that crashed in the park right next door. We had a great time. They live in Canada, so they don't come down this way very often. And it's really a great time.
Anyone else? So,
I have two happy dollars. First one is for the Akron Food Bank project. It was last Wednesday, thanks to those who came. I was unable to attend because I was entertaining at the Indians game, which turned out to be an unbelievable game where they were losing 4-2 and they had the third strikeout in the 8th inning and ended up winning the game. Amazing, but anyhow, so thank you for that. The second happy dollar is we're doing it again next month, September 21st. So 4:30 to 6:30 at the Akron Food Bank. If you're interested, let me know and we'll get you signed up. And so Akron Food Bank, September 20th, 4:30 to 6:30. Thank you.
thank you.
That was so fun. If you have not, well, I know who hasn't gone into this room, and you may want to go next time, but it was super fun. It was efficient. It was very organized. It was clean. And I think that makes for a good volunteer experience. If they're coordinated and organized before we ever get there. So,
And they start on time and quit on time.
yeah, maybe even a little early. Thank you.
David and friends that are coming. We're looking for a couple more recreational teams. So if you want to play cornhole, come join us Saturday. We also have a raffle going on. You can win an adventure park experience. Great birthday party idea. 12 kids. We'll provide the pizza. They get to enjoy the adventure park, zip lines, and everything. So if anybody's interested, I have tickets and a square.
Or adults, right?
Sure. Adults can come too. There. Okay.
My $2 are for Julie and for Katie, who have humbled me and allowed me to come and get spark time with them on September 20th at Mercedes Lounge. So everyone's invited to come. All the tips and donations gonna come back here to the camp. And so my CFO already challenged me to set me a recipe with the drink that has the most ingredients, 71 ingredients. And I said, he's not gonna.
I have hired my wallets in the truck. But first, I just want to thank you all for being here. It's a pleasure to host you at camp. I'm extremely happy for Cora and all the staff team for making a great lunch and getting Zoom set up and just really stepping up today. And finally, I don't know if you looked out the window or seen the water at the lake, but we got our floating dock system in and it looks beautiful. So take a tour, head on down afterwards.
Guest today, but my dad is a Rotarian, so I have great respect and fondness for this group. My happy dollars are for the Herricks for two reasons, both for both of them, and for two reasons. They introduced me to Rotary Camp about 3 months ago. They gave me a lovely tour here along with Bella, and I'm very grateful to be back again for today. And then also, I know you all know that the Herricks help in many ways around the community, but they are helping our very small but mighty historical society as we try to restore a one-room schoolhouse that's one of the last in Summit County. And it was built in 1864. And they've been both wise, generous, helpful, kind, and just all around great supporters of that. So thanks to the Herricks. Thank you.
Yeah. I have a $100 for the new building done. We really need to take a look at it. It is neat.
And Cheryl.
Sure, I'll go. I put the camera back. So I have $3 happy. Cam, thank you for this, Dan. Thank you to your staff. Thank you to Justin. What? Kyle. Justin, Kyle. Okay, thank you to Kyle for setting up for us today. I was not very technically inclined, so really appreciate that. And just thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Did I get everyone? Right, thank you.
All right, thanks, everyone. You mentioned the Arche and the food bank. Did we talk about, regatta? You want to do a plug for regatta?
You guys get a ticket up here, probably got it in there. Love to see you there. Looking for sponsors, this opportunities.
We also want to plug the Rotary Club of Stowe Monroe Falls annual reverse raffle, October 12th at Guy's Party Center. This is their annual, I said annual event, because I think we've been going from Metis for 13 years. So you might want to check that out. They always have a really great time. Meeting next week will be here again on the 30th. And please try to get here a little early so we can start on time. And of course, you already talked about the formal tournament. So I wanted to give some ample time for Jerry to get here and introduce our speaker. But I would be remiss if I did not recognize a couple of lost Rotarians from our district this past couple of weeks. Most recently, Jack Young, the first gentleman, and I say gentleman of Rotary that I ever met when I went to the district level, who helped me along and was my star pupil every time we had a district conference meeting. He always had his reports with me on time, and he was genuinely just a very, very dear Rotarian. And he passed away in hospice this past week, and his daughter shared her thoughts for us in an email that basically Rotary was his whole life. And probably for as long as I've known him, so I've been in Rotary, I think it's going on 9 years. He has been in there doing the hard work for Rotary, most recently and for many years for Shelter Box. So they're asking for donations. We made a Shelter Box in Jack Young's name. He was a past district governor. He was president of the Conneaut Club and a very, very dear Rotarian friend. So I just did not want to pass that opportunity by to share with you about his passing. With that, Jerry is here, and I want to welcome her to the podium to introduce our speaker.
So I'm going to use my college professor voice. Okay. Executive Director Paul Jarrett started with the Akron Symphony in 2012. Prior to joining GAMA, which I think is the Greater Akron Musical Association, Paul has worked through Northeastern Ohio in both arts management and performance. Paul's time with the Akron Symphony has focused on a culture of engagement and meaningful collaborations with dozens of local organizations, schools, and artists. Paul is a member of Leadership Akron Class 31 and a member of Akron Rotary. And as usual, there's a long, wonderful bio that I would love to share with anyone later, but I would like to invite Paul to the podium.
All right. Thank you all so much. And I know there's a camera involved here, and unfortunately, I move around a lot when I talk. I leave my arms around a lot. So I'm sorry. I've left some scores on your tables. Please just pass those around, flip through them, try not to spill anything on them. I think that's what matters. It's paper. But that's just something to flip through while I'm talking here. The very first thing that we talk about when the Rotarians meet is the 4-way test, and it struck me today that What I'd like to talk about today is that very first thing. Is it the truth? And what I'm not going to talk about today is about our season. I think our marketing materials do an excellent job of that. We spent hours and days and weeks and months putting together all the messaging and all the typeface and the imagery that goes with our marketing. So I'm not going to stand here and convince you to come to opening night by talking about our opening night. That can do that for you. But I'm going to talk about are some of the reasons why I think orchestral music and classical music is fun and important. And some of it's going to be the truth. Well, it's all going to be the truth. Some of it's going to be some harsh truth. I'm going to do this old school Letterman style. I can't click it, but if you can follow with me, I'm going to do this. Top 10 truths about classical music. I'm going to start with one of the harshest truths of all. Some of it is terrible. We have done a terrible job. Oh, thank you so much. Awesome. This is fantastic. We have done a terrible job, especially over the last 50 years or so. Unfortunately, during our formative years, classical music was probably in its worst period of time. I would have a hard time finding 10 pieces of music written between 1960 and 2000. If I did come up with 10, 6 of them might be by the same composer. It's just not worth it. It just wasn't good. We didn't grow up with rich, incredible orchestral music during that period of time. We did. They were killing it in the soundtracks. Star Wars, Harry Potter, etc. Absolutely nailing it. But we decided, oh, that's film music. We're not going to do that. So we did this to ourselves. It's okay. Some of what we've done has not been all that good. And we grew up with that. Oh, we moved on to that. Sorry. That being said, if you decide after you listen to me go through some of these today, that you want to dive into some of this, and you hear some things that you don't like, even going back into the golden era, that's okay. It's okay to not like something. I can tell you right now, in this season that's coming up, there's probably 1 or 2 pieces I'm not looking forward to. I can tell you, because I hear about it, there are 1 or 2 pieces, and the orchestra is not looking forward to. Everyone has their own interests and their own style. We have 400+ years of music we're trying to distill down into 7 concerts. It's not all going to appeal to everyone, and that's okay. Here's what happens, because I've been doing this for decades now. We'll play a piece, or somebody will play a piece. We're all in the audience, and we're clapping away, clap, 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 clap. But in the back of our heads, we're going, what the heck is that? And I can guarantee you there have been pieces that happened where everybody in the hall is thinking that. Everybody's thinking, what was that? But when you're alone in your own head and your own thoughts, everyone's clapping. That must have been good, but I don't get it. That's okay. It's okay to not like everything. I'm not going to pretend to tell you that everything we do is a magical work of art. It's okay to not like some of it. I guarantee you there are people on stage in the hall. It's okay.
It's the bottom, I think.
So I think it's good. Number 8. This is my favorite phrase. There are so many leadership opportunities, things to learn in workout. If you were to decide to get involved in what we do, either at a floor level or a tier level or something like that, this phrase, you do the andante, I'll do the grazioso. This is something that I try to keep in mind too, as I do my job as the manager of staff. This phrase, andante grazioso, means slowly and gracefully. Slowly and gracefully. It's a very common phrase, it's probably printed in half the scores that I've done. What it means is that John Mack is a longtime oboe player in the Cleveland Orchestra, and he'd been there for decades. He's been there through some of the tyrannical music directors of Cleveland Orchestra. And this young 23-year-old kid was getting up to conduct the orchestra at Johnny Perry. And his instructions, John Mack was saying to this young conductor, I don't need you to tell me how to do my job. I don't need you to tell me how to play the oboe. I need you to give me the framework to play the oboe. You give me the andante. The phrase means slowly and gracefully. You give me the slow. Give me the slow. I'll do the graceful. I'll do that part. And this is something that I try so hard to do, and I think some of us try to do too when we're working with other people, is
Are we giving the people that we're working with the framework for them to be successful? Conductor we work with all the time is his name Ben Zander. He's this fabulous TED talk. And he talks about how he's the music director. It's a concert, it's a live music concert. He comes out, any conductor comes out, the conductor gets applause just for walking on stage. Why? If you look at a CD or a recording after they make those, the conductor's on the front, waving the arms and doing the whole thing. The conductor's the only person on stage not making any music, not making any noise. Their job is not to get out there and produce the front. Their job is to be on stage, making sure that everybody in those seats, who are the experts at their instruments, have what they need to be successful. It's a fabulous life lesson. It doesn't really fit the top 10, but I wanted to share the story, and so that's where it goes. Oh, you can join in. Despite all of us growing up not in the glory days of classical music, we did all grow up in the glory days of robust school musical programs. How many of us played in band, choir, or orchestra? Look at that. Almost everyone. We have 2 choruses that anybody in this room can be a part of. We have a symphony chorus that you can join, that you can be a part of, and perform with us on stage. We have a gospel chorus. You don't even know how to read the music to be a part of our music chorus. Our choir master for that, Jonathan Turner, teaches everything I wrote. He teaches all those people. If you've ever seen our gospel concert, we're moving, it's choreographed, the whole thing is magical. Anybody can be a part of this. Anybody in this room can be a part of what we do on that stage, making this part of that sharing. You know what sounds fun? A lecture. This is my most frustrating thing. We try so hard to be open and inclusive and transparent and to encourage people to come. So what's the first thing we do when you walk into the concert hall? We hand you a book. And that book has all kinds of information, pages and pages and pages of everything you need to know about every piece that's going to be performed that night. We're performing 6 pieces on opening night alone. That's dozens of pages in our program book with the history and the form and the style and everything, blah, 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 blah. And so you sit down and suddenly you feel like, I need to know this. And maybe when that piece ends and I don't even much has happened, and I didn't read the book, maybe I'm missing something. Let me tell you right now, you do not need to read the book. You do not need to know anything. Gustav Mahler, one of my absolute favorite composers, said, if I could say what I needed to say with words, I wouldn't need to write music. And I think this is attributed to Frank Zappa. Writing about music is like dancing about architecture. You don't need to know all the stuff in order to come and just music. Going out on a date, we're going to a concert tonight, we're going to see the orchestra. Oh, what's that going to be like? Well, the first thing is a lecture. We even do this. Christopher Wilkins will sit in the concert hall and talk about the concert. Is it fun and engaging? Absolutely. Do you need to hear it? No. Music will reveal itself to you. You can get from it or take from it whatever you want. If you want to dive deeper into it, you are welcome to do so. We'll provide the resources. But we have been so like, hey, you're our new best friend. Here's all of our information. Can you imagine going to a baseball game and they hand you the rule book when you walk in? Nobody would be interested in that. And buy the program books at a baseball game. But I can guarantee you that when Ramirez gets up to bat, no one's looking to see what this RBI stat was from 4 years ago in the book. Maybe somebody else. I'm not. You don't need to do this. I know that we put this out. I know it sounds contradictory. I just want you to know that you don't need this just to come and enjoy music. And when you come as you are. I'm in concert dress right now. If you come on opening night, this is what I'm going to be doing. Maybe a different show. Our musicians are no longer wearing tuxedos, all black, very sleek, very slimming. Everybody looks great. Most orchestras are moving in this direction. The tuxedos, the long hair, you must be dressed up. You don't need that. You want to make a big date out of it? Wear a tuxedo, or a suit, want to wear your dress for prom that still fits. You're welcome to do so. But I promise you, you are allowed to come as you are. One of my favorite concerts this past year we did was called Earthquaker. Pick up the score on that table right there, it's T-Suite Commission. And it was coming together of two completely different cultures, and I feel very comfortable talking about this. My son works for Earthquaker. He's part of this environment that I'm about to talk about. Earthquaker, you might not know, they make guitar pedals. It's a very rock and roll company, black shirts, long hair, but I'm describing my. I was there, and they were to bring a huge contingent, submission this piece with the Earthquaker and our orchestra. It was very clear to the people at Earthquaker, you don't need to come as you are. Come as the people you are. You don't need to be somebody else to come to the company. Some wear their nicest black. My son wears only pair of pants. You can just come and be comfortable and enjoy the thing. You're already going to be sitting in EJ, and this continues the truth. EJ's not that comfortable. You might compare it. We were just talking about this a minute ago. You're going to be sitting in the middle of the room. There's 45 seats on either side of it. It's not comfortable. So come comfortable to the beginning. Just be yourself and enjoy and immerse yourself in the music. When you're there, have a more. This is something that we foisted upon our audiences 100 years ago in order to be elitist, in order to distance ourselves from the common person. Oh, don't fight between movements. And we've done too good a job of pushing the people out of the way. So now we push too many people. Mozart's ice cream is this little famous story around the world. Back in Mozart's day, if Mozart were to come today and hear us performing his music, he would not recognize what we're doing at all. It's too quiet, it's too sterile. Where's the applause between movements? Where's the applause during the movement? He would write these little things into his parts. Oh, I hope the audience hears this and gets that. And he did. It was one little serenade riff, and somebody in the audience got it. There's this little applause and laughter in the middle of a piece while it was being performed that people applauded. And he treated himself to an ice cream cone on the way home. He would not recognize. Imagine 100 years from now going to a recreation of a U2 concert and nobody applauding between songs, where the streets have no name ends and we just. It's not normal. It's not natural. And some composers have written some massive, huge endings to them in the middle of their music. It inspires a physical response. You're encouraging. If you're feeling so moved, please express it. Sometimes there are moments of delicacy, and the conductor will direct that. And slowly and calmly, you want to sit in that moment. You're part of that experience with him, just watch. Then he'll pull us all out. Be a part of that moment right there. Otherwise, come as you are. You want that on a logo. I'm not doing this in loud voice. Not a 400 years of creativity. This is where we get nerdy a little bit. I put a couple of pieces of music out on the table right there. These are just examples of some of the stuff that we use in our world, and I'll talk more about it in the next one. But there's so much history in what we do. And that's not to say that we're a museum or we're trying to just recreate the way things were 150 or 300 or 400 years ago. What's fun about this is it's like going to a museum where you can experience something new, but it's also different. I think that table right there has Beethoven Symphony No. 5 on the table. There are probably 700 recordings of that work. Why? Why are there 700 recordings of that work? Because they all sound different. You can have the Browns play the Steelers 700 times. It's not going to have the same result every time, is it? Fortunately. If you get deep into this, there are so many layers and connections and depth to all of the types of music that we do. Even the same conductor with the same orchestra isn't going to sound the same night after night after night. And if you really dig down and start listening to some of this stuff, like, oh yeah, that conductor was terrible. Like, because I heard the same orchestra play this under another conductor. I think the Cleveland Orchestra alone isn't putting that piece just in the last 30 years or 40 years, 4 or 5 times with different music directors. And they all sound different. They all sound different. It's so much fun to just start to dig down deep into how are these things different? Why is this different? What's the history behind this? Part of the nerd side of it. But more importantly, it needs you. I'm going to stay with that Beethoven 5 score. That book, can one of you hold that up? We played that piece earlier this season. That you're holding the work. You're holding the work of art. You are holding the Mona Lisa right there. There's nothing else to make that piece other than what is in that book. It's as tangible as it can be. But we can't perform it without the musicians and without the audience to bring that to life. We stick with Cleveland Orchestra for a second. George Zell, who's the music director for decades, tyrannical back when the music director was allowed to be a jerk. Used to say we never rehearse. We perform and we all week, and we just invite the audience to the last 2 performances. That piece of music, despite what's in there, doesn't exist until the orchestra brings it to life. And it really doesn't count until there's somebody else there to listen to it. That sounds like a summary, bringing it all to you. You should come to this. But I have something that's even a little bit more important than that. Okay. It has value. And this is a big change, because if I would have done this talk 5 years ago and I talked about to this group a couple of times, there'd be an envelope of tickets for everybody. I'm not doing it. The musicians, stagehands, staff, the parking attendant, people who clean DJ, they have value. Music has value, and the work that goes in welcome to come enjoy live music. Here's my challenge for you, you're so inclined. I put together. Oh, my timing is terrible. And my Paul Schaefer over here.
I know, I'm sorry.
One more. Just one more. One more slide.
I'm getting there.
Bring your hammer. I've created one, it's 20 minutes, 20 minutes of brand new to you music. I took Akron out, by the way. If you look at it today, it says for Rotary. Because I'm sorry, I was talking to another Rotary tomorrow. Might be doing the same talk. It's 7 pieces of music. It's 20 minutes of music. Other than the first one, which is a remix of a classic, I guarantee that you've never heard any of this before. We just try. This is all music and all recordings from the last few years. This is all recent stuff. I promise it's not atonal. I promise it's not angular and ugly. I promise you there's might be something in there that you will enjoy. But going back to number 9, if you don't, just skip it. That's okay. It's okay to skip it. It really is. It's just 20 minutes of music. I just ask, if you have any thoughts on it, let me know. If you have positive or negative, either way, I just want you to enjoy what we're doing in this world. This is really, really fun. Thank you so much.
Any questions?
Any particular show that would be good to bring kids to?
Oh, boy.
10 and 12 specifically.
Opening night. Opening night. So this is really fun. This is what we've done with opening night. I promise I'm not talking about the season, but here we go. American Fanfare, a concert that we would produce 5 years ago called American Fanfare would be full of nothing but dead white niggas. And this is not a bad concert. It opens with a dead white man. It closes with a dead white man. But I promise you, what is in the middle of that is the true tapestry of American music, not just dead white.
Hey, Steve, that's another way out. If you're gonna go to opening night, make sure you come.
And the reason I say that's brutal for the kids is honestly, each of those pieces are short. It's, I mean, the Mahler third, that piece is 100 minutes long. So it's my favorite of the season.
Another one.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, if you want to come to that on Friday night, we'll be at each, you come to rehearsal. This is all open to you. You're just something on. Yes. What do you play? What do I play? This kind of bass, not this kind of bass. Yeah. I played tuba in college until I graduated and then away that.
How do you get the music that you have recommended?
It's on Spotify, by the way. It's on Spotify. Yeah, I'm kind of glossing over. I assume people know what Spotify is. I prefer Apple Music, but I know more people are on Spotify, so it's. That's what we are.
And if you're still listening to Amazon music, people make fun of you. There's one.
No, that's. I feel like it's nice.
I thought they all.
That's why I was.
Is somebody playing the sound of music at Blossom?
Yeah, also, this is a fascinating story. The symphony is playing the Sound of Music at Blossom, presented by the Cleveland Orchestra. So this has never happened. The Cleveland Orchestra has hired us to perform the Sound of Music at Blossom on Labor Day weekend. It's a semi-staged production. So the director and the production come from Paul Wallace, we are the orchestra. It's important. It's perhaps or full semi-stage at Blossom 2 nights. It's, I can do an hour on all that came together. And I hope there's more of those. Yes, that is us at Blossom. But we're not paying any of the bills.
That's kind of.
Anyone else? Question? Paul, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Okay, let's recap some dates because someone said when is something. So we have David. Paul?
Yes. 21st.
21st of September is the Akron Regional Food Bank and Are we going?
There's no big social.
Okay. Steve, do you have an event coming up also that day?
September 14th,
14th,
1 to 4 at Coleman Health Services on West Market Street.
grand opening of their new office.
Just let us know you can.
Katie,
And the funnest one will be Sunday, September 20th, happy hour, all session donations go to camp at Mercedes Brown, which is right behind CVS on West Market Street. If you were there when it was nickel piece, it does not look like that at all anymore. It's very nice and very clean, very classy, and she's a good friend of nonprofits. So.
and because we don't have enough going on in September, the best one at all,
September 24th, we'll see you here at camp.
Regatta.
Julie, real quick, so then the 20th, I know that we usually, well, we still can, but after the 21st, people get together sometimes for dinner after volunteering. But we're also going to promote Rotary Night Out at your guys' event.
Okay. So yeah, this ought to be interesting. I'm gonna brush up on my drink making and learn how to open bottles with my teeth or something. I don't know.
I'm good at the drinking, not at the drinking, so.
You guys are too-
We have a couple of approaches to reach a greater audience. So thank you all for being here. We'll see you here next week. And we have a drawing, so.
Give us the honor of picking our Lotto's daily winner. 228 578. 228 578. All right, here. Thank you. Here's your winning member.
Oh, it's a good word.
Set 7 big ones for you and the progressive card. That's all part. All right.
While he's selecting his card.
This is the 7 club.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, so let's, if you haven't been before, or if you're coming back and you haven't been here for a while and you would like a tour, Mela will meet you at the back of the room and you can go for a tour with Kyle and Amanda. Maybe will pop in and you guys can all say hi and ask questions. All right, thanks. I'm ringing the bell.